Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and hello from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Heidi Gold, how are you, hon? Sean, hello, beautiful soul. Much love. Be right back. I'm checking out at a grocery store. Okay. Hope you bought some good stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a happy day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And you're saying to yourself, why, Sean? Why is it a happy day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Hey, Michelle. Well, I'm going to tell you why it's a happy day. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens. Now, here's the deal with that. We have been rivals forever, and there is bad blood, animosity, seriously, between Baltimore fans and Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Okay. And we won. We beat them 18-16. But that's why it's a good day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So, again, welcome to Into the Night with me, Sean Kelly, your host, on UPRN Talk Radio 105.3 New Orleans, 107.7 Mississippi. Michelle says my husband was from the Greats. He loved the Ravens. Well, that's okay. You're a friend of mine, so that's okay. Okay, hard. Okay, I can understand it for Maryland. I can't pronounce that word there, Michelle, but all I know is that the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens. Cindy Mitch, thank you for coming on. Much love to you and everyone. So, couple announcements I want to make before I get into the show. It's going to be an awesome show. It's going to be a great show. But my friend, I have 3 friends who have the disease. It's called CRPS. And what that disease is that you're in constant pain all the time. And there is no cure for it. The only cure for it is a lot of pain pills. So if we could say some prayers for my friends, I would truly appreciate it. But they're going through a very, very hard time. And what's crazy about this disease, okay, is that all they went in for was just simple operations. My one friend from Australia, she just had a broken foot and had it fixed. Thank you, Michelle. And she had a broken foot and went in to get it operated on, and that's how she contacted with this crap, CRPS disease. And my friend from here in Pittsburgh, thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Michelle. And my friend here in Pittsburgh, she got it because she had her wrist operated on. And then she's hurting so bad. They were hurting. So hopefully one day, if there's more awareness to it, maybe there could be a solution where they can get medical treatment for it, except by instead of taking all those pills, the pain pills that they are taking. But let's see what else is on the list. Oh, I got a author coming up on Tuesday night. Let me see if I can look his name up real quick for you guys. Let's see here. William Wagner Jr. is his name, and he has an author, and he wrote a book on 2016, the UFO. He saw the UFO and he had an experience, and it's going to be an interesting show. So hopefully, we can get a bunch of people on to watch the show and listen to what this guy has to say. So tonight I'm talking about my haunted experiences in Gettysburg. Okay. For the last 20 years, I've been going to Gettysburg. And as everybody knows, and for the people who don't know, July 1st, 1863 through July 3rd, 1863, that was during the Civil War. And so Robert E. Lee just, had a win down in Antietam, I do believe. Excuse my voice. And sorry, Antietam. And so they're moving up north. Now, see, at the time, the capital of the Union was in Harrisburg, PA. So Lee was going to head on up north to Harrisburg. But there was a little town called Gettysburg, and the Union Army clashed with the Confederate Army there. And it was one of the most bloodiest battles of the Civil War. If I'm not mistaken, if anybody out there is a buff on the Civil War, but I think like a total of 56,000 men died, were missing, prisoners of war. It was drastic. So if you want to learn more about the Battle of Gettysburg, just Google it, and read up on it. It's like really interesting, and but it also was sad too. Okay. So on the first day of the battle, July 1st, the Union Army was on top of this hill called Culp's Hill, Culps, Culp's Hill. And so you had the Confederate Army that was at the base of the mountain, of the hill. Okay, back by driving for 3 minutes, listening. Thank you, Heidi. And so there was a lot of fire, gunfire, all kinds of killings and stuff like that. It was kind of crazy. But my experience there on Culp's Hill, and I've gone up there for the last 20 years, okay, and it never amazes me of what kind of stuff that I have experienced up there paranormal wise. The one thing that I did experience a lot um, was there was a spirit of a lady. They call her the Lady in White, and her husband or boyfriend, whatever, whoever it was, went away and fought in a war, but he died. And people have claimed that they have saw her walking Cobb's Hill, just floating around looking for him. Well, I remember one night, as I started up the hill, I got this like really, really chilling thing over my whole body. I call it my spidey senses. My spidey senses, that's what I call them whenever my hair stands up on the edge of my skin. And I was all by myself because, a lot of people say, why would you go into a very haunted place at night in a very, by yourself? But to me, yeah, it was haunted, but it's also hollow ground. It's hollow ground. So I didn't have that fear. I was a little anxious, I'll be honest with you on that. I was a little anxious with it. But as I'm walking up the hill, all of a sudden, like, I mean, it was like 80 degrees, no wind, nothing like that. I mean, full moon too. It was crazy. It was a full moon. But as I'm walking up, all of a sudden I see and I hear all these trees shaking. Okay. And I mean, they were shaking really wild, really, really crazy. And I do believe they had acorns on them or walnuts. I forget what it was. But all of a sudden, I just heard these trees rustling, and boom. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? It's not windy. It's a nice evening. It's not humid. And as I'm walking up, it just seems like the trees are really going at it back and I mean, really shaking with all this stuff coming from the trees. So my curiosity got to me, okay? And I walked up a little further. As I'm going up the path, I looked over to the right, and there she stood, this lady in white. Yes, this lady in white. And she was only there for like a split second, but I caught a whole glimpse, a good glimpse of her. Because when I went up there, at the beginning, and people told me about the lady in white, I really could not understand why, a lady in white dress be up there looking for her husband or boyfriend, whoever it was. So I really didn't believe the stories that was being told to me about the lady in white. And I saw her, and I froze. I was like, I froze. But that it just goes to show me, and talking about spidey senses kicking in, holy crap, they were really, really kicking in. I mean, I started to have cold sweats and stuff like that. Oh, my earpiece fell off. Hey, Bill Rigby, good to see you, sir. Thank you for stopping in. So that was my paranormal experience up on Culp's Hill. Um, I would sit on a rock close to the breastworks. Breastwork is where they built up rocks or trees or whatever, and they hid behind them so the soldiers would shoot down on them, and not get hit by bullets. And I heard, and I was sitting there, and it's funny because all over the battlefield in Gettysburg, you can hear gunshot, you know. Um, you can hear muskets. I don't know what kind of rifles they had back then, but all I know is that you could smell the gunpowder and you can actually hear the guns go off. That was crazy because I really thought there were some kids, in the battlefield at the time and just lighting off firecrackers just to be smart asses, but there weren't, you know. And then I would hear men crying, wailing, and this was just in Culp's Hill. And it was just like, wow. Hey, Joe Fox, good to see you, buddy. All right, Joe, Bill, Heidi, Cindy, Michelle, everybody's in tonight. That is great. But yeah, it was an experience up there at Culp's Hill. Um, Now, I've had many other paranormal experiences, up there on the hill. Hey, Heidi's home. I'm glad you made it home safe. Good. Hope you bought something good, even though it was only 3 items. But back in 2012, when I went up there, I was doing a, a, a program called Paranormal Pittsburgh. Daughter gets to cook. Love the white dress, lady. Thank you. You're welcome. And we were filming up there, Paranormal Pittsburgh. It was on WPMY, my Pittsburgh channel, and it didn't really go that far out there. I mean, I had to pay for the hour, but it was well worth it. So the bunch of us are going up the hill, and all of a sudden we're standing on the path on the road, going up, and honest to God, now we didn't hear no Bigfoot, okay, but all of a sudden stones and decent sized rocks were being thrown at us. And we caught a lot of good orbs, we caught a lot of good mist, you know. Um, it was, I mean, what I liked about it the most was that everybody got to experience something like that. See, if you go on an investigation, it's not so much evidence that you get on the video or the audio. Um, what it is when you get those personal experiences when you're out investigating, to me, is the best evidence you can ever get. You know, I don't know how anybody else feels about that. Like I know a lot of Bigfoot hunters that just go out and they're good friends of mine. Too many to count, but like what Bill Rigby, Richie, Richie Banter, and Mr. Wojo, and the Vogel brothers, and a lot of other people here. And I listen to them stories, and when I listen to what they talk, Squatch Man too, and when they hear, the Bigfoot screaming and yelling, or you can hear them making noises, or building different things with trees, and you just, when I sit back and I listen to them, I hear the excitement in their voice when they talk about it. And that's basically how I feel when I have a personal experience, when I actually do see a spirit. I mean, that's how I feel. I just love to talk about it. But for me, okay, I have to be careful who I tell, um, because there's a lot of people out there, especially at the beginning when I started in 2006. There was a lot of people that thought I was a nutcase. You know, they were a nutcase even thinking why I was even out there investigating because ghosts didn't exist. And I was like, well, I think they do, but I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson the hard way. I lost some friends, and that was okay. But I really truly believed. I mean, I followed those investigations. I did what I had to do to go to investigate. because for some reason I was drawn to it. So that lady in white up there in Culp's Hill in Gettysburg, PA. And again, it was the best sight I ever saw with my own two eyes. Now, if you want to read more about the lady in white or Culp's Hill, all you have to do is Google and try to find some information on it. You can go to YouTube or whatever. But to be there at the time of the experience that it happened, it's 100%, 100% awesome. Michelle says, I agree. I want to join a team to sharpen my skills. Well, I'm sure out in Oregon, hon, there are some teams out there that would help you do that. But that's like for the battlefield, that, Culp's Hill, that was like the big experience I had. Now, I was up there with my friends, and we were staying at an RV park up there. And since they don't, sponsor the show, I really can't tell who it was. But we have had two experiences. The Vogel brothers have heard some incredible stories about Gettysburg. Have a great show. Thank you. Hello. Thank you. The Vogel brothers. But so we were up there at this RV park campsite, and it was at night. And I'm laying, we're all sleeping, and all of a sudden I hear like raindrops. And this is crazy. It sounded like raindrops. And so I opened up my eyes, and I'm really listening. And it just like, I got up, I went out the door. Hey, Squatsman, good to see you, brother. Well, opened up the door, and here it wasn't raining at all. So I said, I must have been in a dream. Heidi says, I'm honestly not out here searching or seeking the paranormal. It's always found me. You are totally gifted, Heidi. Totally gifted. But as I was laying down, all of a sudden the sounds started, it sounded like little rocks and raindrops hitting the RV. And then I listened really, really intently on it. And here, the little taps that I've heard. Thank you, Heidi. The little stone, the little taps, thinking that I knew what was raindrops, wasn't actually hitting the roof of the RV. It was actually hitting the side of the RV. And I had one massive chill just come over my body that night. Come to find out, okay, this RV park, there was a skirmish between the rebels and the Union. Okay. And it was just like the RV was actually caught in between the rebel army and the rebel army and the Union army. And then, if you throw a rock and hit it against metal, it kind of like would sound what a bullet would feel like here, like if it got hit up against the side of a wall. It was cool as hell. And then that week, we were sleeping. Now they had a Roddy, and I'm sleeping on the couch, and the Roddy's sitting next to me, sleeping next, and all of a sudden, it was crazy. We heard a high, real deep high, and it was like unison. Cody's name, Cody was a dog name. Me and Cody woke up, and we both looked into the same place. And that's where we heard the voice. And that spirit stayed with them for a very, very long time. I mean, everywhere I went up there in Gettysburg, it didn't have to be on the battlefield. I mean, you could be in the town of Gettysburg, um, and feel stuff. Like, I remember one time I was doing one of them ghost walks up there. I mean, if you get the opportunity to get up, and not so much in Gettysburg, but say like Savannah or somewhere in Virginia where a Civil War battle actually occurred. And if you have the opportunity to go on a ghost walk, go. I'm serious. I mean, at first I really did not. I think they were just out to make money. Hey, Ernie, good to see you. All right, brother. Great to see you, brother. But if you get the opportunity to go out on a ghost walk, say like in Gettysburg, say like Antietam, um, Chickamauga, anywhere, Savannah, Georgia, go on those ghost tours. A lot of them are just like stories that they tell. Like, they talk about the Blue Boy up in Gettysburg. Um, and then they also talk about in Gettysburg where the university is, that these ladies are working late at the school and they're about to go home. Yes, there's tons of good people in the room tonight. I'm appreciative. But they were in the school. Gettysburg College is up there, and these ladies were done for the evening, and they got into the elevator, and they were going down to the first floor. As they were going down the elevator doors opened up, and there was a infirmary where Civil War doctors were working on Civil War soldiers. And, you can only think it's just a story to make it interesting, or, you have to come up with your own conclusions on that. But that's another story that they talk about. Think about it. If you're going down in an elevator at night, okay, and all of a sudden the elevator doors open up, and you're right in the middle of them cutting off guys' legs and arms or whatever. Hey, Marquetti, good to see you, pal. But most of these places that have these ghost walks, their stories, but you can actually pick up a little bit more information on the spirits and ghosts that are there. I was on a ghost walk in Gettysburg. I did a couple of them. And we were standing across the street. I do forget what was going. Oh, there's an ice cream shop on the corner, and it's like apartments, and that's where a bunch of Confederate snipers were up there, and they were shooting. But at the beginning of the tour, okay, the beginning of the tour, they would tell you whenever you would go to a spot that you could possibly sense things. Like, tell us about this spot where you can actually smell tobacco, tobacco smoke, pipe smoke. And I'm saying, okay, I'll give it a shot, and I was like, okay. And I didn't even think twice about it. And so we get to the spot, and I was just so interested in the different stories during the walk that I totally forgot about the pipe smoking. Now, there was only 4 or 5 of us in this group, and I was the only one that smoked cigarettes. Okay, I didn't know pipe tobacco. So all of a sudden, the guy's telling the story of what happened there, and all 5 of us started to smell tobacco pipe. It was like a cherry tobacco smell, like someone was actually smoking a pipe. And so, being me, okay, I had to go and try to debunk that. And I looked all around that place, and I did not find a pipe. I did not find no cherry smoking cigar or whatever was smoking. And that was another experience I had, smelling that smoke when there was nobody smoking the pipe. But we're at the 30-minute mark right now, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to take a little break. I'll be back in about 70 seconds. And if you have to go to the bathroom, get something to drink, whatever you got to do, you got to do. And hey, Stoney, good to see you, honey. I'm going on break now for 70 seconds, Stone. I'll be right back. And here we go. So, hey, welcome back to the second part of the show of Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. And I want to thank UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 New Orleans, 107.7 Mississippi, for allowing you to give me an hour of my time to you on Sunday nights and Tuesday nights, 8:10 to 9:10. Welcome back. Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate it. And this Tuesday, like I was saying at the beginning of the show, I have a gentleman coming on who wrote a book about the 2016 UFO situation. He's written a couple books. He's written a trilogy. He also He also talks a lot about UFOs being in the Bible. I'm not going to get into the show, but I think it's going to be interesting. He's a UFO writer and experiencer. So if you're not doing anything on Tuesday night, come on by from 8:10 to 9:10 p.m. and enjoy the show. So back to the Gettysburg, sightings, the experiences I've had. There's a bridge up there. It's called the Sachs Covered Bridge. SACHS, Sachs Covered Bridge. And what's interesting about this bridge, it's like very, very, very haunted. Every time I go to the bridge, whenever I go up there, I'm telling you, I experience something. But remember, I was telling you earlier that I was doing that TV show, Paranormal Pittsburgh. Well, so I had the group there. We were filming on the bridge. It was like cold at night. It was really cold. And there's a ghost that hangs on that bridge. I don't know what his name is, but I know he's a ham because he likes. Can you give the website, Mark? Please put it in the chat. I'd appreciate it. But there's a ghost that hangs out on the Sachs Covered Bridge, and he is a Confederate soldier. And he likes to show off for people whenever people are on the bridge. So one night when we were up there filming, I was walking, doing our thing, filming, the actors or the children or the young adults, investigating the bridge. And then all of a sudden, I got this real sharp pain in my back, real sharp. Um, and my God, my body was on fire for like 3 days. Okay. I don't know if anybody ever got zapped by a ghost, or any kind of like a scratch mark or whatever. It felt like a knife went through my back, and I wasn't right for like 3 days. It's just like, see, spirits are like total energy, and I guess you want to say like it's like if you got hit by electricity or something like that. But for 3 days, I was totally out of it. But during the time we were up for filming on at Saks Covered Bridge, um, the dude from Tennessee um, would just harass us. But he did it. He did it out of friendliness. I don't think it was him stabbing me in the back. But what I would do is, the guy liked his beer and he liked his cigarettes. And so whenever I'd go up there, not even filming, but just going up there, I would always leave him one cigarette, and I would leave him a match. And that was just, my gift to him. Whatever happened to the cigarette, I don't know. I could not leave alcohol out because I probably would have gotten in trouble. But with Saks Covered Bridge, the backstory of the Saks Covered Bridge is, oh, you've left this thing before? That's cool, Heidi. But the story behind the Saks Covered Bridge is July 4th, 1863, after the Confederates lost at Gettysburg. But the route they went back into Virginia was over the Saks Bridge. What they would do, if you were a deserter, there was 3 deserters, and they actually hung the 3 deserters on the bridge itself. But it's a very, very, very haunted place to go to. And there's all kinds of other things. It's not so much, the Getty, the Confederate soldiers going back into Virginia, all beaten up in that. But, you also had settlers, and you also had Native Americans up there. So it really wasn't so much Civil War, but all other kinds of different skirmishes that were going on up there. Now they have another bridge that's up from Saks Bridge, and it's called the Suicide Bridge. And a lot of people have committed suicide on that bridge. The real name for the bridge is called the Eisenhower Bridge. You got to look it up and listen to the stories or read the stories on the Eisenhower Bridge. We were there investigating a couple times, and I have witnessed myself a lot of shadow people just walking right behind me, okay, or standing right next to me. Because our equipment that we had, the K2s, the cameras, everything that you had, everything was being lit up, and a lot of noise was being made. Nobody got hurt, but I tell you what, it is one freaking creepy place to go to. It's called the Suicide Bridge. The Eisenhower Bridge, I've lived near 2 Eisenhower bridges in 2 states. Yeah, it is called the Eisenhower Bridge, Heidi, but the real name or the name that people use is called the Suicide Bridge in Gettysburg. And this is, the 2 most haunted places that were there, that up in Gettysburg, was all surrounded with water. the bridges with the water. It's just fantastic. You really seriously need to enjoy the paranormal, to really understand the feel that you get when you're investigating. Empaths, paranormal investigators. I mean, I've seen everybody in every paranormal group come up and try to do something different in order to get a reaction out of these spirits, you know. But I was just wondering, what do they think of us? Us people trying to get, what do they say amongst themselves when they see us taking pictures and using all our paranormal equipment? When I die and I'm out there, I'm going to ask them and see what they looked at. But so those are two, the Suicide Bridge and the Sachs Cover Bridge. But the really, really, really most haunted area. I mean, don't get me wrong, sweet guys and ladies and gents. Okay, and this is the truth. It's a big place. For a little time. There's a lot of paranormal experience. Heidi says, I'm thinking that one of those bridges was also a suicide bridge. Oh, really? Huh. Maybe you were in Gettysburg in a past life, hon. Who knows? Heidi also says, my first thought was they giggle at us. I can see them doing it. We're just shaking their head and said, these dumb humans. But the most haunted area for me was the area of Little Round Top. Okay. Even to this day, it chills me to the bone. Okay. So one night, it was just about getting dark. Me and a couple of my friends were up there. And we decided to go up the Little Round Top. Now, as you're going up the road, okay, you come and you see a sign that says the 20th Main Statue. Because up in Gettysburg, they have all these statues up there of the areas where the different regiments and companies were at. And it pointed that way. So as we walked down there, we sat on stones or on rocks. And all of a sudden, all the birds quit chirping. All the insects stopped. Nothing was going on, no noises at all in the woods. And we're like, holy crap, because I've been to other places where everything comes to a standstill when something really creepy or something really bad is hanging around. And so we're sitting on the rocks right around the main monument. And all of a sudden we started smelling, gunpowder. Okay. We started smelling gunpowder. And we started to hear, them shooting their guns. And we heard the yelling and the screaming, just like we did over there on Culp's Hill. But what was really scary about the thing up at Little Round Top, right, was they were like right next to us. It was like that we were actually sitting between all these soldiers firing upon the other soldiers. You can actually hear guys running up the hill at you because you've seen leaves move. You know how when you're walking, how your shoes or your feet kick up leaves. And we saw a bunch of leaves moving. It was scary. I have to admit that was one of the most scariest nights that I've ever experienced at Gettysburg. Heidi says, exactly, always pay attention to nature. That was the scariest night in the world for me. It was like we were sitting in the middle of the Battle of Little Round Top. If you ever get the opportunity, if you can, rent the movie Gettysburg. Okay. And just sit there and watch it. You know, it takes to watch it twice, and it's a long movie, I will tell you that. But it really gives you a good idea on what Gettysburg was all about. The battles from July 1st, 1863 through July 3rd, 1863. But that part at the Little Round Top was the most scariest place for me that I investigated, that I was near. I mean, it was just like right on me. Me and my friends, after we just bailed. Honestly, we bailed. That was that scary. And very rarely do I bail on an investigation. But there was one also that I'd like to share. About July 2nd, 1863, the 68th, 69th New York and the 72nd Pennsylvania was called the Irish Brigade. And they went, July 2nd, they were in the wheat field down in Gettysburg. And they lost. And there was a lot of men missing, died. It was a terrible day for the Irish that day. But so one night I took my ex-girlfriend up there and I bought a CD of Irish music. And I sat there. It was the only one, me and her were the only ones there. And we put the CD into my CD player in my car. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, it was crazy. My ex, she took video of dancing orbs. It was crazy. You smelled all kind of smoke. It was so crazy. It was freaking insane. It was totally insane. But that was a good experience. But to play Irish music and have the whole wheat field light up, it was just amazing. But I tell you what, I'm getting pretty close to the witching hour here. But I'm going to share one story with you, and then I'm going to close up. Back in 1863, there was a priest that gave absolution to to the Irish Brigade, the 68, 69, 72nd Pennsylvania. What the deal with that was, after the war, he became the chancellor at Notre Dame University. And so when he became the chancellor at that time, Notre Dame did not have a nickname. And so the father who gave absolution to the Irish Brigade, he gave the nickname to Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. From that day, July 2nd, 1863. That's how Notre Dame got their nickname, from the Civil War up at Gettysburg. I thought I'd share that, and it kind of like bringing a tear to my, Heidi says, Sebastian, hey Sebastian, good to see you. But again, I want to thank you for all tuning in tonight, for listening to the show. I hope you've enjoyed my little adventures out there in Gettysburg. There are so many more that I could tell you. I could probably do it like a 6-week show. 6 weeks of this, but I won't. I just wanted to share with you some of the best experiences that I had up in Gettysburg. Like I said, I had many more. Don't forget this Tuesday coming up on UPRN Talk Radio on my show. I'm having a guy who is a writer, and he wrote about the 2016 UFO situation. He has written books about it, so I'm really looking forward to having him on Tuesday night. Children, if you can, please go to your parents, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And if you have no parents, if you have no children, find somebody and give them a hug and tell them that you love them. Because those 3 words, I love you, go a long way. Good night, everybody. See you Tuesday night. Happy hunting.